Hello, it's Will coming at it again. Another video, another day, another thought, another question. I'm coming in here with a few thoughts. Loving to see you specifically, you right there, me and you. I'm Will, I'm from the UK. I often like to ask myself some questions. I often like to reflect on what's going on, how I'm feeling, ideas in my head. So that's what I'm going to do today. And the question for today is what does growing up look like? So, growing up's a really weird one in the modern world, I think. Because I don't know if you guys have seen this, but for me, I feel like I've met people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that are I'm not a grown-up. I don't know what being a grown-up is. They might be saying that in jest. I might be taking that too seriously. That's possible. But I think it points at a really interesting idea of growing up and being an adult. What is that, right? There are certain rituals, cultural traditions that say, hey, you're an adult now. Right, I'm thinking about the Jewish tradition of the bar mitzvah. When boys turn 13, they have a celebration, bam, you're a man now, right? It's a religious tradition. It's not really a thing in the secular world, right? Where we're non-religious, majority online and stuff. Maybe that's just my circles, but I'd say those that aren't in religious traditions or steeped in them, they don't generally have a ritual that says, hey, you're an adult now. I think these rituals are kind of important. I think the Pueris Aeternis idea, this kind of Jungian idea, points to that and kind of says, hey, historically there was a clear line of when you went from a child to an adult. And that's not a thing anymore really in our cultures, right? On the internet culture, right? And I think about the Pueris Aeternis, the eternal child, the child syndrome, right? I'm a Pueris Aeternis, and I think some of the features I kind of want to throw down as that of it's kind of this eternal childlike state of being childlike in how you are in the world. I'm a 30-year-old man, but I like fantasy. I like abstract ideas. I like being silly. I like being playful. I was on holiday with my wife a year or two back, and we were in Norway. And there were a bunch of rocks to climb up on next to this big, beautiful lake. And I gleefully and excitedly ran up these rocks. And some of these other ladies remarked, "Hey, he's just like a big kid, right?" And I think that's true. I think there are really aspects of me that are very childlike still, I think I still embody these aspects and characteristics of the Pueris Aeternis, right? I think there are parts of me that feel very grown up that I've kind of moved into, but there hasn't been a clear line, and there are also parts that are kind of childish, right? And I think a lot of my creativity points in that direction. And I guess I feel really conflicted because part of me's is growing up a good thing? Is growing up valuable? But there's a few sides to this, right? Because I guess the positive aspects of this Pueris Aeternis is the openness, the creativity, the able to generate ideas and be passionate about things, right? But the inversion of that, the negative of that, is it's hard to commit to things because the ideas are so big, they're so lofty, they're so huge relative to what's concrete and real in front of us, that because we can I can create a lot of potentially beautiful worlds internally and never express them, it feels really hard to really commit to something, right? And in an effort, in a way, to not just embody the negative traits of the Pueris Aeternis, that's what this channel's kind of for, committing to 2 videos a week, and doing that consistently. And I think a big part of this idea of growing up is accepting hard, boring tasks. Not just hard, because hard can be exciting and stimulating, add to lofty aspirations, right? Point to potential, right? Wow, I could do all this, I could do all that. Wow, isn't that amazing that I could potentially do all this? Potential's super toxic, and I think potential is actually a huge aspect of the child, right? It's you have so much ahead of you, so there are so many choices, right? And if you eternally live in that state, it can paralyze you. It's paralyzed me historically, of like wanting to make music. That's been a huge problem for me. Of being like, there's so many like musical possibilities here. The music always sounds better in my head. I can't commit to recording a track because I will not actualize that. It will suck relative to my imagination. So like, why act? And then I don't practice, and then I get worse, or I never get any better, and I just live in this kind of mediocre state of like, what am I doing, right? I think this is the ultimate like bane of being in this pueris aeternus state. And it makes it really hard to commit to things, but I would argue, committing to things long term, doing things long term is more in line with the traditions of the adult, bearing the responsibility that life requires, right? Because there's a lot of boring, stubborn work that we have to do as we grow up. We take on that responsibility. I think growing up kind of looks like that, taking on more responsibility, being a more active, engaged member of your community and taking responsibility for that community, whatever it looks like, or for yourself, or for your aspirations, and doing the stuff that sucks in front of you and closing doors. Like, this has really been huge for me. Like, closing doors, I think, is a huge part of growing up. It's like, hey, I'm 30 now. I'm definitely not going to be an athlete. I'm definitely not going to be an archer. I'm not going to be probably a musical prodigy. I'm not going to be probably a forex trader or a banker or anything like that. I'm probably not going to be a lot of things, and like, that's okay, because then there's less possibilities to contest with every present action. There's like, oh well, this is like what I got, so I guess I should do something in this direction, because I don't have to go, oh, well, if I act this way, then I can't go this way, right? I often think of the challenge of the pueris aeternus, and this is something I really feel in like growing up, right? Is if you really struggle to commit to something and you just do a burst of something and then stop, burst of something and then stop, burst of something and then stop, you're kind of taking a step in 1,000 directions and you're going in a circle, right? I don't know if you've ever felt this, any of you, when you like trying to like develop a skill or like create a habit or something like that, but ultimately trying to reorientate into what is real, and I guess letting go of some of the fantasy, which is like really hard for me, like as a recovering video game addict. Like, I think it was a lot of escape from a lot of pain I felt, and I think growing up felt, I remember when I was younger, like reflecting on this and being like, man, like growing up sounds terrible. I hate the idea of growing up. I never want to be a grown up. Growing up sucks. I felt this when I was like 19, when I was like finishing like sixth form college. I was in school, I was like picking my like college, university options. I was like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to be an adult. So let's go to university to avoid being an adult. So this has like been a long-standing problem for me, right? And you could argue, yeah, I was a kid, I was still a teenager, sure, like that makes sense. But like, is that attitude kind of like, that attitude still permeates in some ways, and I try and be really aware of that, because I think the more I've batted against and trying to lean into the idea of being an adult and being like, no, I am a part of my community, I am a part of where I live, I deserve to be here, I'm a part of this, I'm an adult, my thoughts and needs matter and everything, the more I feel I can get out of it and really, I've like lovely neighbours, for instance, and I just talk to them sometimes, and they're adults, I'm adults, they have cats, they take care of the cats jump into my garden sometimes, it's fine, and there's like a community there, you know, and it's like an adult community. I don't need to engage with fantasy. I can just acknowledge what is and have a fun comment on like what is, and like that's enough. That's so freeing for me. It's really hard though to do when you're like so hell-bent on continual fantasy, and so much of our culture is like built around collective celebration of fantasy. Like, no wonder we'll struggle to actualize anything, right? No wonder so many of us are consumers. No wonder I'm a consumer, right? I know better than no one else. I'm watching YouTube. I'm playing video games, you know. I love this stuff. But, you know, that's my Pueris Aeternus cross to bear. And I guess I'm trying to integrate it more and have some of the childlike interest and intrigue, along with like bearing some of the responsibility, right? And it's a long process for me to accept this. And I think that's what maybe growing up looks like for me. It's like letting go and taking on a little bit more. It's okay to take on more. It's okay to do a little bit more. It's okay to rest, and it's okay to come back and just learn about adult things. You know, I've been learning about economics. That's kind of adult relative to learning about the newest Magic the Gathering mechanic, or playing Clara Obscura Expedition 33, or whatever video game is the flavor of the month that is fantasy orientated. But those are just my thoughts. Would love to hear yours in the chat. It's been lovely to have you here. Thank you for listening. You've been wonderful, and I've been Will. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.